since late May. It was their first time with back-to-back wins at home since the first home series of the year back in April. They do it yesterday. Edwin Jackson, the former Tiger of the mound, he does the job. Tigers over the Royals 5-2. Tigers and KC again tonight at Comerica Park, 6:10 right here at 97-1. The ticket. Spencer Turnbull pitching for Detroit. Tigers make some moves, releasing second baseman Josh Harrison. They also release right-hander Sandy Baez to make room for right-hander Edwin Jackson. Nicholas Castellanos, since being traded by the Tigers to the Chicago Cubs, 15 of 34 to play, 4 home runs and 9 RBIs. In the PGA Tour, Dustin Johnson, the Midway Point leader at the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. Meanwhile, Tiger Woods had to withdraw due to an oblique injury. And wide receiver Antonio Brown tells the Oakland Raiders he will not play football again unless he can wear his old helmet. He believes the new certified helmet by the league interferes with his vision. At the ticket update desk, I'm Jeff Lesson. For more, 97.1theticket.com.
The following is a paid program. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Entercom Communications, its sponsors, or affiliates.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Fund. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. Alongside me, Harry Glantz.
Good morning, Harvey Freed. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Here, would you believe it's August 10th already, 2019? And boy, we got a jam-packed 1 hour of mortgage and real estate talk.
This is one of the 90 days we live for between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
That's last Saturday and this Saturday for sure. Get out there and definitely enjoy. We got a good hour here for you for sure. Becky Alley comes in from her office. Hey, Beck.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I knew it was going to be an amazing morning when I saw this busted dude looking like Elvis. Whatever party you're coming from, Elvis, I'm sure it was amazing.
Oh, you had a nice ride in up the Southfield Freeway. Good job, Becky. Yeah. Top 1% of all originators in the country, Becky Alley. Yeah, she knows a thing or two about mortgages. And if you want to learn what we got going on this morning, 248-539-9797. We bring in some great real estate agents from X1 Realty, a brand new office in downtown Farmington Hills. It's really cool. Aaron Boudreaux. How you doing, Aaron?
Good morning.
Fantastic.
Snaps for Aaron.
Also, Aaron, you bring in your office teammate here, Franklin Howard. Hey, Franklin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
Snaps
All right.
for Howard. For Franklin.
All right,
Franklin's bringing some energy.
Yeah.
You know that Franklin's bringing the energy. He's got the vest on, because we all know I wear a vest during the week, but he's got a vest on Saturday.
That's strong. Definitely strong.
He's putting out the vibe.
That's it.
Did you guys hear about all this talk about mortgage rates dropping? That's right.
Have not heard that.
Yes, it's sort of the talk of the town. And again, if you haven't bought a house yet, boy, you just might have lucked out if you set it up where you were going to be a buyer at the end of summer or at the beginning of the fall. Boy, you set it up the right way. 8.2 million of you out there probably could take advantage of these lower rates by refinancing. So we've got a lot to talk about that. And you guys, give us a good barometer of what's going on in downtown Farmington Hills, or what's your business looking like over the last, let's say 3 or 4 months.
Well, honestly, it's booming. Things are moving. We're starting that shift with rates lowering. There's a lot more buyers coming out. There's a lot of people that, like you said, did put it off till the end of the summer, and they lucked out. They hit gold with that. So, a lot of buyers. We did get a nice big influx of inventory, like in the spring, early summer.
Okay.
So there's a lot to look at, and there's a lot of buyers. There's a lot of buyers out there. So
the good thing, though, too, is like when he's talking about these rates, it opened up the door for some people that might not have qualified. I mean, so like this time last year, you might be looking at, high 4s, low 5s interest rates, and now they're almost a full percentage lower than that, or actually they in fact are. So in that case, it's going to open up that door where now we're getting buyers that didn't qualify maybe because of their higher debts, and now they're able to get into their homes.
It's a great point. We track rates every single hour of every single day during the week, because that's what happens. It's a commodity, and you have to track it. They could go up, down, intraday as well. However, when you put it on a chart and you see over the last year, when you put it on the wall and you look where interest rates were last year at this time, they're down over 1.25 points, okay? That is a true rate decrease, 1.25 points. What does that mean? We talk about it all the time, Harvey. We talk about opportunities. So there's opportunities for buyers, which means there's opportunities for sellers to sell their home and get into something else. But there's also opportunity if you are in a house and you bought a house within the last year, there's an opportunity for you to lower your rate. Now, here's the crazy thing. Don't get weird about an eighth here or there. Just
Yes.
don't. Because if you start getting weird about an eighth, then that opportunity might slip away.
Right.
So if it's the opportunity is right for you, you've got to push the button and hit it. Okay. Now, I'm not saying just do it. As I like to say, willy-nilly, do your homework. All right, you don't put it off because that opportunity could slip by. But sometimes, as I always like to say, the best deal you make is the one you might never make. Don't rush into buying a house if that house, gentlemen, isn't the right house for you, correct?
Correct, absolutely. With just with like I was talking about before with the inventory, buyers can be a little more selective. It's not as, hey, this is what's the best deal out there. It's you have actually a lot to look at. So
Well, plus it's I feel like it's a different type of buyer right now. They are not feeling that like panic. I'm just going to go in, guns blazing, $5,000 over asking. I got to go. They are being a little bit more particular, and it's kind of making it shift, not so where it's not predominantly just all seller driven as far as the negotiations go.
All right. Hey, I want to throw the number out there, 248-539-9797. We are always brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. I can almost say that. I say it so quick all the time.
Wow.
But here we take your calls, 248-539-9797. I like how we're diving right into it, talking a little bit about the inventory, and then we mixed in the interest rates. On $100,000, if that interest rate goes from 4 7/8 to 3 7/8, it's roughly $56, I think, per 100,000. So on a $200,000 loan, boom, just because you might have waited 2 months, your house payment is $102 less. You know what's interesting about that? That's home ownership. But what if you're a renter? There's just another reason when mortgage rates drop. You control that when you're a homeowner. When you're a renter, you have no control over that. So just another thing out there. A lot harder for investors who own these rental properties here to refinance those, although they are able to refinance. But when you're a homeowner, it's a lot different. It's a lot less expensive to go ahead and refinance your house.
But Harvey, let's say you're Franklin and you have buyers and that are renting right now, and they come to Franklin and they say, Franklin, I want to buy a house, but you want to know something, and here's the line you've always heard. I can afford the monthly payment, but guess what I don't have? I don't have a down payment. So what do we do? What do we do in that case, Harvey Freed, Becky Alley, gentlemen? What do we do in that case?
I mean, the thing is that as a buyer, when you're coming in and you're trying to ultimately buy a house with sunshine and rainbows, everyone's
Unicorns.
trying to unicorns, right? You need to get with the professionals up front so that way we can make sure we're getting you set up in the right programs. There's minimum down payment programs where you don't need a lot of money, but you can get gifts. We can ask the seller for concessions. There's multiple ways that we can get you into a home where you're keeping your out-of-pocket expenses low as possible. But we're setting you up on a game plan up front, so therefore we know what your down payment's going to be. You know the cash you need to have in the bank, and we know we can have that game plan. So if you don't have it now, that doesn't mean you can't start. We can't get you into a house. It's just a matter of allowing us to educate you of the proper timeline to get all these ducks in a row, so that way when you find that house, you're comfortable and we can pull the trigger and we know what we're dealing with.
But I have to have good credit, right? Like the lower the down payment, the better my credit has to be, correct?
Not necessarily. I mean, you do need to have good credit, but we do have programs out there where we can go as low as a 585, but obviously there's other compensating factors that come into play. So the sooner you talk to us, the better. A lot of consumers and buyers like to go out there and say, I want to see the house before you pull my credit. There's this negative thought that pulling your credit is going to, drop your points like 100 and all that, and that's not true. Is it going to show up as an inquiry? Yes. But do we need to look at your credit in order to make sure that we're putting you in the proper programs, getting with the proper professionals over at the X1 Realty team? Yes, we have to do it because there's no way we can give you a bona fide pre-approval nor turn you over to one of our real estate professionals and honestly with good conscience tell them that you and they are ready to start the home buying process.
Yep.
Well, that's just it too. I like the fact that you hit on game plan multiple times. That's just huge. Every buyer that I have, you get these buyers that come out and they're like, all right, I'm going to go look at this house and we're ready to put an offer in. It's like, okay, we got to start talking pre-approval. We got to start talking, can you afford the monthly payment?
Yes.
What are the taxes in the area? These things, your homeowner's insurance, that all goes into your payment. So you have to,
and if you're buying a condo, what is the association dues? Because most condos have at least a $250 association dues, but then you have these condos that clearly someone comes out and massages you when you're
Right.
doing your laundry
For
or at the pool.
$650.
That it's like $450 per month on the association dues. Like, I want to know what amenities they offer. However, they're out there, and if you're not aware of that, it could be the difference between you qualifying for that particular home or not.
Yeah, that makes a great point. 248-539-9797. Condominium purchase is fantastic, but that association fee takes a lot of buying power away from you. And as Becky mentioned, probably a minimum of most condominiums anywhere in the country, really, about $250. Even here, if we're just using the money to go ahead and keep the project going. But now we're putting in Michigan, we're putting money away for the asphalt in the parking lots,
Yes. Yep.
all the driveways, also the roofs of these projects. These condominiums are attached condos, whether it be 1 and 2 units attached or 4 or multiple units attached. You have to put money away, especially in Michigan, because we wear and tear on our properties a little bit more just due to the weather. Always great stuff. We want to hear from you. 248-539-9797. Talked a little bit about, just as we're heating up the conversation a little bit about the homes that are left on the market. You know, families had great intentions. They might even inherited a property. I brought it up to you, Franklin. We get those phone calls. Hey, my grandma left me the house. I'm not sure if I'm going to sell it or what. Well, you walk into, you do that listing appointment, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. It's sort of a fine line. If you guys want to discuss that, just that fine line between, is it really a house that I should put the 10 grand into and bring it up to snuff? Will I get that back when I sell?
Yeah, so I'll touch on that real quick. You know, we were experiencing, you know, and at the top of the sellers market, these houses, and we'd go out and meet with these sellers and say, you know, don't worry about doing any updates because there's buyers clamoring to get this property, you know, and it's shifting a little bit, you know. And again, I mentioned that word shift, but
you know what we'll do? Because it's a deep conversation. We'll talk about putting some dollars into your house. If you haven't got your house sold, Aaron and I will come back. We're going to dive deep into this. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, 914. If you just joined us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Yep, you can find us 1-800-LOW-RATE all week long. Always there in South, our local lender here. NMLS 2289. I got to get that one out
Equal
here.
housing lender.
There you go, Equal Housing Lender. And of course, Capital Mortgage Funding is powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation.
Been doing
Here to
this
help
a few
you.
years, right?
Here, you know what? It's a refi boom going on out there, and we just want to talk a little bit about it. Of course, the Fed funds rate dropped the other day, so we got a little bit of conversation about that. Fed funds rate, not a direct correlation in a mortgage rate. So people said to me, well, Harvey, our rate's going to go up or down, or what's going on? Well, again, Harry, other factors are affecting what happens with the MBS, the mortgage-backed securities, is truly what happens to mortgage interest rates. And the president the other day made some comments about China and maybe some taxing and tariffs, and sure enough, the money moved out of the stock market and the bond market rallied, and that's why we have a little bit better rate.
Instability in what's going on around the world is unfortunately helping mortgage rates, fortunately.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now. But when people, you know, you always get the text, the emails right away, the calls. So the Fed dropped the rates a quarter. You know, it was baked in. There are other things, there are other factors that contribute to it, like Harvey said. Bottom line is right now, we were talking before the show, rates are lower than right now they're lower than they were in 1966. So do the math. And don't nickel and dime for an eighth here or an eighth there. It's crazy because they always have a propensity to go up faster than they go down.
Right.
So you got a good rate, you have a relationship with somebody, no matter who your lender is. And I can say it because I'm a bad mortgage guy. This is not an hour-long Capital Mortgage Funding commercial. All right, if you have a great relationship with your current lender, and they're going to lock you in, and you're going to save money, or you're going to take cash out to pay off toxic debt at 18%. Just do it. Don't miss this window. No matter where you go, just do it. But of course, we'd like you to give us a call, and we'll take care of you to the best that we can. But Harvey, let's talk about cash out refinance transactions.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, actually.
You know, you say there's a refi boom going on. There doesn't necessarily have to be a refi boom to go ahead and save money. If you've got things in your life that you want to pay off, toxic credit cards, then you have to tear up the credit card. That's the trick. So using your house as a piggy bank, I'm not in favor of. Using your home to take a higher rate and pay it off debt with a lower rate, that's what you should be doing. And the spread right now between mortgage rates and credit card rates, if you tear that credit card up, you're doing yourself a huge favor. Okay, huge favor.
A lot of families.
Up and down Woodward throughout the day. Brought to you by AAA.
I'm Jeff Lesson. This week, the Bear in Tullymore. Buy a twosome for either great course at lessonongolf.com. I'll throw in a dozen premium balls. Best prices anywhere. Lesson on Golf, Sunday, 8 a.m., 97.1 The Ticket.
97.1 The Ticket would like to remind you that when you text the ticket, standard text messaging rates apply.
Welcome back to the show, 9:15. If you're just joining us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE is where you'll find our staff. I know Ronnie J. The whole crew's there this morning. If you need a strong approval letter, call Capital, 1-800-569-7283. Always live here in the studio, 248-539-9797. Aaron, we were talking about those houses that were left on the market. The signs are up there collecting some dust. They're getting some viewers, but, the houses are outdated. Tell me a little bit about that. A couple of the things that when you go to the house, what do you look at? A couple of the things, and of course you've done your data, so you know what the neighborhood's going to sell for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's knowing, it's knowing your data, knowing your neighborhoods, knowing your comparables, obviously. But yeah, it's important to get out in front of the house. See, if there hasn't been any updates since, the original owners bought it, there's going to be some things that you need to be done, spruce up some paint, do some light landscaping, stuff like that, things to brighten up your listing, make it look, because like I was saying before, the market is shifting to where the inventory's there, and so the buyers are having more selections. They're having a bigger pool to buy from. So
spend today, maybe even if you've got a house that's been on the marketplace, maybe call your real estate agent, have them meet with you again. Go back in there and maybe freshen up things. Maybe it does need a fresh coat of paint. There's a lot of things you can do. If you got that really nasty carpet, pull it out. It's not expensive. We talk about it often here.
The red shag carpet is not cool anymore. Well, plus, at the same time, too, like if you do have a house that maybe needs some, it's got the old wood paneling, it might also be more advantageous to maybe offer a concession in lieu of you putting your own money into that, because that way you can make sure that the buyers have the option to make it to their taste versus what your taste. Maybe your taste is peach, painting the walls peach, and right now gray's hot. So it's just a matter of what's going to work, and listening to your, your professionals, listening to Aaron Franklin when they're with you. They're taking that time on that consultation to best advise you where your house is, what the market trends are. So that way, if you are and you do need to make these updates, make sure that they're specific and they are going to be the ones that's going to make that house stand out. And if you're not willing to do that, then maybe talk about offering a concession up front.
Yeah, I like that. Just put it on the listing.
So it's the 8th year of a seller's market right now.
Yeah, ride it to the top.
We're in the 8th year. If your house isn't selling, okay, it's not the market. It's you.
Right.
Okay, remember, we're in the 8th year. You got to do something to make that house sell. Like you guys said, and I'm not the real estate expert. Maybe I'm not. It might be priced too high. Mm-hmm. You need updates. Yeah. Something's going on. All right, so you got to check it out. Do some self-reflection.
Yeah,
don't blame everybody else for your house not selling.
It's not your listing agent's fault.
Sometimes you got to be a thumb pointer.
Great point.
Right.
Yep.
Great point.
Please.
Because the market is definitely telling you something if it's sitting for
8 years.
Yes, it's definitely going to tell you.
All right, want to go into this a little bit here. The basic needs and wants. That seems like it's always triggering with me. Is when families start off and I meet with them, we do that great pre-approval in early spring, and sometimes they haven't found the house, and then again, you mentioned this that the inventory will change. It's picked up a little bit, so now they can maybe go back. But isn't it that really solid list of things that you need? Your needs list got to be really strong. Schools, the size of the house, the location, the amenities, privacy. Do you want a big yard? Do you need a garage? Talk to me a little bit about those needs lists. Do you find those that families that the priorities won't change, or after they get out there in the marketplace, they've decided to make a shift a little bit?
It really depends on how much they have actually spent doing research on the market. If people come in, particularly brand new buyers, they've got a laundry list of enormous things. And I mean, I think we joke about it at the office all the time. It's the HGTV thing where people are like, I make, artisanal jars and he grooms dogs for a living. We have a budget of $100,000.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's the point where we show them a couple of homes. We have that realistic conversation. We direct them to Becky, and it's what can you actually afford and what can you actually get at this price point? And not that we don't want you to have the house of your dreams, but I'm sorry, you're not going to get 3 acres for $100,000 unless there's not a house on the lot.
Yes, and the cash that you receive from your underwater basket weaving, like lessons, and that you don't document, I also cannot use it as income. So it's having these conversations, but you're totally right. It is all about that. Like they have this huge, initially they start out, they come out, I need a pool, I need a new, finished basement, it's got to be this and that. And then after they go out, they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe this isn't a necessity. It's really finding out what Harvey was saying is the needs versus the wants, having a real life sit down conversation. And sometimes it takes you going out there as a buyer to really see what's on the market, to kind of get a real life perspective of what a true need is and what a real want.
It's not sometimes, it's every time. We got to get them out there, and because that's painting the picture for them, and it goes back to game planning. Painting the picture. You can have all these things that you want, that you think are needs or wants, and
So we had the inspector on last week, which I thought was phenomenal. Had a great house inspector, and it goes like this. You're going to enter into a contract, and you want that house inspected. You want to know why? Because the green shag carpeting, the nasty bathroom, all those things can be changed.
Right.
What can't be changed, and we call it,
the bones,
you guys call it the good bones, are a key to buying a house with a solid foundation, good bones in there. You can change everything else. So for us, and you'll tell them, hey, listen, don't worry about it. You can get rid of this. You can change the landscaping. You can add on. You can do this. If the house doesn't have good bones and you're going to allow somebody to enter into that contract or that transaction, it's just a mess from there. Okay, it's just a mess. You have to have that inspector go in and tell you, okay, you know what? Furnace, no big deal. Roof, no big deal. Attic, great. No mold. Even if there's a little mold, you can get a little remediation. It's $1,000.
Right.
Okay, those are all okay things. But if you get in there, you got to have a professional go in there and inspect that property. Changing that red shag carpet, hey, now I might leave it.
Right, hey, that's true.
I might leave it in.
That is true. It always cycles back. It comes back in style, so who knows?
But you know what? You pick that shag carpeting up, there's that wood floor underneath.
Right.
Yep. All right, so you never know what's going on. But that inspector is going to tell you. You have to have an inspector on your team. So that's why last week it's very important for people to listen. Don't waive that inspection clause. Do not waive it.
Absolutely not.
We just had a transaction, actually, my cousin of mine, and I won't say any names or anything. I don't know if I'm going to bring it up, but sure enough, there was at least a good $20,000 worth of repairs that we can see. And again, some of the things you can't see on a house is, the porch was coming away from the actual structure of the house. So that wasn't as big a problem. We could rip it out. But how much water damage has that? We can't see what kind of damage it might have did. So, look, the families know if they fixed up the house. Particular houses have evidence, especially in Michigan. We always talk about this, evidence of peeling paint everywhere, exposed wood. Folks, if you're out there, you own a house, now's the time to really spruce it up. You got the next 3 months, really, to get out there and do those things going into the winter, really to separate your house. Also, that maintenance on your house will keep the value up in your house. So maybe down the road, 5 or 10 or 15 years from now, the work you do today.
That's just it, keeping up on that maintenance.
Sometimes that curb appeal, the way that the front of your house looks alone, keeping just the exterior looking in its tip-top shape, that's going to get more people. It's going to look at, that might be the difference between your house selling in a day or two or your house sitting for a little bit.
All right, so much to cover here. 248-539-9797. We're going to talk a little bit about when you're selling your house, maybe purchase that new one, that contingency. But Beck, something that came up recently to a lot of the families that we've been speaking with so many families out there, Aaron and Franklin, I think you guys are finding this too. They're selling their house and they're buying a new one, and I'm talking to families, and they're little not, they don't have the knowledge yet, or they haven't seen what they're going to net from the sale of their house, and I'm not even sure if they understand all the fees that are typically involved in that. I think there's a little bit of lack of education out there, even on the seller side. We see it on the buyer side. It's scary to me because I remember in 2000 when I was working with families. I'm shocked now that sort of that same cycle, Harry, you see it, we're sort of back. I felt like, wow, didn't your parents tell you about that horrible move that we all made? I'm 53, so what can we learn from our past?
Human behavior is a funny thing. Okay, you like to try to tell people and teach people and instruct people, counsel and advise, seek wise counsel, everything like that. People are going to do what they want to do.
And they forget.
Right, so
people forget quick.
It's unbelievable. So the baby boomers, we are the majority of the population because we just are. And we did a lot of crazy things. We also did a lot of great things. We rang up a lot of credit card debt. So what we try to do is counsel and advise people, don't ring up that credit card debt.
Right.
But lo and behold, people ring up the credit card debt. They take a cash out refi, pay off the 18% debt. And we say, what? Tear up the credit cards. Don't do it again. Sure enough,
they do it again.
Yes.
All right, so Listen, you can only try and help people one by one, day by day, and whatever works. But bottom line is people are going to do whatever they want to do. And if the ones that learn, they're going to learn it quick, or the ones that don't are going to learn the hard way. So either way, it's a learning process.
Yep, and we were just talking about this this past week on a couple of deals. Just without saying too much, obviously diving into those. But yeah, you have to again paint the picture. Make sure that the professionals are giving that information to say, hey, we're locked up in this this biggest purchase you're ever going to make here. Let's not go out and
Yeah. I feel like it's that self-sabotaging. So buyers, when we are talking to you in the beginning and we are saying, please do not go buy that new car. You don't need the furniture just yet on a house that you don't technically own. These things affect your pre-approval and your credit. So there's a reason why we're telling you not to do these things, because if you don't heed our advice, it might be a difference of we think we're going to get your file submitted for a clear to close, and now we have to start all over or make some adjustments last minute.
All right, a little bit more about self-sabotaging yourself. What we want you to do to be a successful homeowner. So when you come back, 248-539-9797. Keep it here. All right, welcome back to the show. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. That's right, we're the top. We're definitely one of the top lenders in the country. And if you want a really smooth experience, you got to call the professionals. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage bankers. Save a lot of money. Here at the studio, 248-539-9797. Let's move off to Dave on a cell phone. Good morning, Dave. I like your question. Something about you're selling your mother-in-law's home. Tell us more.
Yeah, so it's in State College. Mother-in-law's... we have power of attorney. She's living with us now, but my wife has siblings that we put it up for sale with the advice from the realtor that not a lot of updates not to be done, that the market was good enough in State College, it would sell fast. It's been 30 days. We haven't had a bid on it.
Interesting. What kind of traffic's coming through the house? They're able to track the showings and stuff. What's going on there?
Is it near Penn State right there? I mean, is it something close to the college?
It's about 3 miles from campus, west of campus. It's near the golf course there, and it's in a nice neighborhood called The Landings. The traffic on the first open house, there were 30 people that went through, and there was a lot of feedback. And mostly, my wife lived there 10 months, and she repainted the inside. But she couldn't get the siblings to agree on investing some money on updates. Like, for example, none of the kitchen appliances match. The carpet's old.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law's been in there for 15 years and put nothing into it. So it looks a little tired, the house does.
Dave, I love your question, and I know Scott's going to jump in here because your question, not only because it's in State College, it pertains to anywhere in the United States, right, Scott?
Absolutely. I mean, some of the cheapest fixes that you can do if they've never updated anything in the kitchen, go to Home Depot and do a backsplash. For $400, you can make it look phenomenal, even if you don't do the cabinets, but you do a nice glass tile backsplash. You can get one of those, depending on the size of the kitchen, for like under $500, and it really makes the kitchen pop.
Yeah. Dave, are they giving you the feedback after the first 30 people have gone through? The real estate agents get some feedback. Are they basically all just saying that you're priced too high and it needs too much money to fix it up? It's ultimately it becomes the price if it's that outdated.
They're not coming right out and saying that. They're saying things like, "It's cute."
It has a good personality.
Yeah, that's not what you want to hear when you go on a date.
But I mean, the curb appeal is okay, and once you get in the house and you see the paint job, you go okay. But the design of the house is kind of like 1950s. Yeah. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch. The bathrooms are real small. But like I said, it's still got a linoleum floor in the bathroom.
All right, Dave, let me ask you this question. Would your siblings, I don't know if you're in a position financially to do this, and I'm going to assume that you're going to split the proceeds equally between all the siblings.
Right.
So what if you went to your siblings and say, hey, guys, I know you don't want to put any money in this house, but if we go ahead and we update the house and we put the money in
.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere. Brought to you by the LaFontaine Automotive Group, the family deal. 97.
97.1 The Ticket.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show. It's a hardcore mortgage real estate business show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's where you'll find us all week long. 1-800 low rate, the best mortgage banker. Save on closing costs, get a great interest rate, deal with real professionals. There's a refinance boom going on. That's right. Call Capital 1-800 low rate. Going to save a ton of money. Hey, Beck, we are refinancing a ton of clients here.
Yes.
Let's introduce our guests again. We got the great guys in here from X1 Realty. You guys, when did you open that office in Farmington Hills?
Back in November.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a real cool downtown office. Of course.
Boutique-y, it's really cute, very trendy.
Downtown Farmington is actually, I keep saying Farmington Hills, downtown Farmington is really just like all these other great little cities that have been, that have been around.
Yep.
Now they're redoing them all. They're coming back with the restaurants, and they're bringing in just a little of everything, a new restaurant, a new bar, even a new bookstore. There's lots of fun things, coffee shops, all that good stuff. So you guys are taking advantage of it, and that's a great area. I know you guys feed pretty much that anywhere from south, like the Westland area and Farmington Hills and West Bloomfield and all those surrounding areas. Yeah, just great stuff. Yep, here you nailed Livonia, that's for sure. So a lot of great opportunities. And what I like about that office is in that little farm area is they come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes and price range. You've got just about everything. And of course, on the high side, probably just to the west of you is Northville. So you guys got a lot of action there. Tell me else what's going on and anything happening in downtown Farmington that you guys see coming up here in the next month or two that might bring some attention. Oh, they have an art fair or something now, or they already do that one?
They already did the art fair. I think they're wrapping up their concert series, which is every weekend. Yeah, they've had some amazing acts come in every weekend and showcase. There's a beautiful farmer's market every Sunday that I stop by. Or no, it's every Saturday. I don't work on Sunday. Whatever day I work on weekends, I don't know anymore.
But that's what makes the city really fun. And that's what we see more and more. The buyers are saying, you know what, this is what I want. I want to be able to walk down here and hit that farmer's market.
Yeah, because there are people that are specifically looking for that kind of area where they can have that, bring their kids, walk down the street, be a part of a community. That's huge.
Yeah, we get a lot of foot traffic in, surprisingly. We have a lot of people just walking down. If it's beautiful, like you said, there's restaurants there. It's cool. It's cool to be a part of it. The community is like super welcoming. They love us being there. And we get a lot of cool people that come in and just say hi, so.
Buying and selling a home, Aaron, definitely a lot of emotions involved. We always talk about that in the show. And, we're in the industry, so we're used to it, and we deal with it, the ups and downs. But, boy, I always want to remind somebody, if you're out there buying a house, get more knowledge behind you, because that knowledge will definitely give you the confidence. And that's the whole thing is we can sit there and can continuously give you some good information so you can make good decisions. But you have to step back because, boy, so many things happen in that 30-day period when you sign that purchase agreement.
Oh my God, yes. Interesting. I mean, it's sort of my job at the office. I tell everyone it's to make the trains run. I'm sitting behind the desk. I'm doing all the paperwork. I'm the one who's seeing what's going on. And what I've always found to be very interesting is real estate's a game of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Which is hard to tell buyers sometimes, and even sellers, where they're like, well, I want to close. I want to move into this house. I've got the furnitures. I've got the movers. And I'm like, we don't even know if this house is legally able to be sold yet.
Right. Title insurance has to be run.
Yes.
There's still an inspection phase. The appraisal has to come back. So a lot of those different things. All right, we got always a tons to share with you. Let's move off to one of our calls this morning. We've got Fred calling in from Garden City. Good morning, Fred. You are live on the ticket.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
So I've got probably about $75,000 in equity in my home. So I've got about $25,000 in debt and repair that I need to do. But my problem is I have a low credit score, and I'm having a hard time getting my credit score up. And so therefore it's like I couldn't refinance to take any of that cash out to pay off my debt, to get a better credit score, to, you know what I'm saying, to improve everything.
So listen, I obviously went through the process. What did somebody tell you your credit score was?
Like 538.
Okay.
What's holding it down? Do you have people have lower credit scores due to too much debt, late payments, past foreclosures, bankruptcies, things of that nature? What do you got going on?
I just have late payments.
How often?
Because
Because you're drowning, right?
Well, right now I have. Say again.
You feel like you're in a position where you're drowning as far as you're just overextended, and that's why you're having these late payments, because you feel like you just can't get caught up, right? Is that kind of what's happening?
Are they currently late? Are there late payments that are rolling over every single month?
No, but, and this is the other thing too, is I got a I was listening to Murray Feldman, and he was talking about calling
Murray.
creditors and, getting lower payments, so on. So I called my mortgage company, and I said, hey, can you lower my payment? And they said, sure, we'll send you some paperwork, fill it all out, and we'll reevaluate it. So it dropped my payment $170 a month. But during that process, I wasn't allowed to make any payments. So that process took like 4 months.
You know what I'm thinking, Fred? I'm thinking, I mean, again, we just advise you that you'd go meet maybe a bankruptcy attorney. I mean, this could be something like a Chapter 13. This isn't where you're saying, hey, look, I'm going to walk away from it. I just need to sort of go ahead and reestablish what the monthly payment's going to be, something that you can afford so you're able to make these on time. Do you know that after 2 or 3 years, most of the Chapter 13 families pay off their debts and they're able to get a mortgage? If I truly think that might be the route for you, and again, if you meet that bankruptcy attorney, maybe they can give you some additional information on how you can get rid of those debts.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because like I said, I mean, it's just the timing every little payment.
Oh, wait, we got one more choice, Fred. One more.
Or I think that's a last resort thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But I believe that if we take it and sit down with you and look at your income to debt and do an analysis on that, maybe we could put you on a plan where you can get caught up and systematically, over a period of months, increase that credit score for you without having to file a bankruptcy.
Yeah, so like I can look at your credit, or Harvey can look at your credit, and we can get very specific on what you need to focus on. I feel like a lot of times when someone is in this limbo with their credit score, they're focusing on the wrong debts, right? So sometimes it might be a very specific credit card that is hindering your scores. So we can potentially identify what you need to do, and it might be $100, $200, reducing that overall debt that could tip the scales, 20, 30 points, or whatever it's going to be, but it's going to be a working osmosis. We're going to have to continue to kind of we might have to revisit it a couple times.
Yeah, and then analyze what your income is on a monthly basis to go ahead and pinpoint what that debt should be paid off on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so we'll give you a call after the show. We'll talk about it, and we'll see what kind of scenarios we can kind of come up with to get you on the right path, and then we'll give you our opinion.
Yep.
Thanks for the call, Fred, and good luck to you.
It won't cost you anything that could save you a ton of money.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah, speaking of not costing anything, let's talk about those application fees.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. We had just found out about that. You know, and I'm surprised. Of course, at our office, 248-539-9797, if you want to go ahead and give us a call here. But, Harry, I always talked about this in years past. We always have been, 1-800-LOW rate. We want to offer the best possible rates and lowest closing costs. What we found out was some of the people in town were doing things sort of not so ethically, I would say. I mean, they're just not being
disingenuous.
All right, disingenuous. So what's going on is we don't have an application fee.
27 years ago. That's a long time ago. That is a generation ago when we started.
Yes.
Okay. I did not want to charge people for just picking up the phone and having somebody call us and hit their credit card. At the time, it was $250. Now it's $500 or more for an application fee, which means some lenders charge you an application fee, and whether you go through with the loan or not, whether they order an appraisal or not, it is non-refundable. It's a money grab, in my opinion.
That's just enough to scare
So we don't charge an app fee. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that was basically it. Well, another thing we found out, though, but it's not that we don't even charge the app fee, but it's not included in your APR. So you're actually having the wool pull over your eyes. Again, mortgages in real estate can be difficult. There's a lot of terminology, all sorts of abbreviations for things. And if you're not up to snuff on what's going on, you're in the dark, they're pulling the wool over your eyes. That's just another reason to make that extra phone call to Capital Mortgage Funding. Find out the real thing.
Our goal is to get you a loan and save you money and set you up for success, not to take your app fee, hit your credit card, and whether it goes through or not, we keep your money. Wrong. Bad answer. We don't do it.
All right, so let me break it down. So when someone is calling me, right, because everyone knows the rates are dropping, the two things that they ask right away is, what's your rate? And then what is the APR? So what we're talking about is this application fee that we do not charge, but some of your big box other lenders, they do charge it. So I can say the rate is X and then the APR is this, and they're like, oh, well, their APR is the same, but you could be being charged more fees because this application fee is not included in the APR. So an APR is not a true, honest depiction of the overall fees that you're paying because of these lenders that are charging these application fees, making you pay $500 just for speaking to someone, let alone if they even
who's
do anything
unqualified
for it.
typically.
Yes.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple. I call down there in different places all the time and across the country. And yeah, sometimes or most of the time we're talking to people that are brand new to the industry, don't even know the first thing about home ownership.
Listen, don't get hung up. But don't get hung up on the buzzwords that you've.
Yeah, they just hear these words, they don't know what they mean.
And you found on Google, and you think you know what you're talking about. And no, please, come on. Call somebody that you know, that you have a relationship with, that you trust, that you've heard of, that's going to give you the straight story and not interested in hitting your credit card. If the second or third line out of their mouth is, hey, what's your credit card number?
Yes.
Okay, no. See ya. Bye.
Run.
Yeah. Right.
There is no reason why anyone should have to collect a fee from you up front in order to give you an honest, look at your financials if you're choosing to use them. And if they do ask that, you need to move on to someone else that's a little bit more local, someone that you can talk to, you can shake their hand. But we do all sides. So if you don't want to come and sit down and, sit next to me and go over your financials, I can do it over the phone. I can do it over email. We can do whatever it is that you're more comfortable with, but
and we
you need
won't
to make,
charge you.
And we're not going to charge you. Everything is free, and we're just here to help you and to best advise you. Whether you decide to use this or not, we're going to put you on the right path and tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
I'm glad you brought that up. No hostage money at Capital Mortgage Funding.
That's terrifying too for for some of these first-time buyers who have no idea. It's like that's enough to scare you away from buying a house. It's going to cost me $400, $500 just to put an application.
Right, and Aaron, we do free pre-approvals. Free. They're free.
Very, very fast turnaround on those pre-approvals too. I do know.
All right, tons when we come back here. The latest in real estate. What's going on here? Would you believe that these rates are giving you some tremendous buying power? When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more. 248-539-9797. Welcome back to the show, 944. Man, is it gorgeous out today. August 3rd, 2019. This is what we live for, is what we said going into the break. There's no doubt about that. But 248-539-9797, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Make sure you call in. I wanted to go back. Do we still have that one caller on? Let's go back to Kevin Caller there. There you go. Hey, you on the line, Kev?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Kevin, here's the deal, right? So they just didn't decide 2 weeks ago to put that pipeline in. So somebody had to have notice that the pipeline was going in. Your question is it a duty of the seller to disclose on a seller's disclosure or somewhere? Okay? The answer to that question is we're not attorneys. We don't play them on the radio. If any of our real estate attorney friends want to call in and shed some light on that, my opinion is, why didn't you know? I mean, I'm just coming out. It's Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business. So why didn't you know? Why didn't somebody in the neighborhood tell you? Why didn't your realtor tell you? I mean, it's pretty common knowledge that they have to go through all kinds of regulatory, information and disclosures, and go ahead and put it out there in the community, and that's what has to happen.
What happened, Kev?
And that's my whole issue with it is, I walked the property. The seller had told me that, it was something about an alley out back. That's all. He had said that, don't let anybody tell you different, but that's an alley out back. I'm like, okay. So when I walked the property, there was no gas line marked, anything, nothing alluding to the fact that there was a gas line. And then lo and behold, consumer shows up. So there was nothing said. And then during the title search, the titles did not match up for whatever reason. We were told why they did not match up. And this is where I sit. And I can't get a real estate attorney to call me back and say my
I'll get your number. We'll get your number off the air. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
hey,
our real estate attorney friends out there, they're plenty to listen to the show, plenty we've had on the show. If they could call in and shed some light, or they want to text us or whatever they want to do.
They'll do the private meeting, definitely.
Yeah.
Kev, good luck to you. A couple of things that we'll talk about after we hang up with you. But again, this is why more professionals again, Scott, in the world of real estate, having that additional knowledge in the area, there's things you can do. You can knock on neighbors' doors, can't you? You can drive.
Absolutely.
And you can also drive by a neighborhood you like, and sometimes you see families outside. And, if you're not too abrasive or anything, I'm sure you could go up to them, give them a quick little honk and say, hey, I'm thinking about moving in here. What's going on? Interesting stuff out there. And again,
to bid or buy at General RV. This Wednesday to Sunday, bid on the motorhome, trailer, or fifth wheel of your dreams, or buy at already reduced buy it now pricing. Either way, you'll save thousands. We've brought in hundreds of overstocked RVs, and factory reps will be on hand to approve bids. Don't miss your chance to name your price. Make your offer by Sunday and take home a new RV for less at General RV Supercenters in Wixom, Clarkston, Brownstown, and Mount Clemens.
The Tigers, Red Wings, and Pistons all play here. 97.1 The Ticket.
Welcome back to the show, 9:44 if you're just joining us. Man, this is a gorgeous day out there. I already got a couple buddies who live on the local lakes here. They're already sending in, what a day out there. Get out there and enjoy.
So they're already calling you up on Harvey. Are we going to be on the lake today?
I like to call it a Mr. Rogers type of day.
Oh,
It's a
perfect
beautiful
out
day in the
there.
neighborhood.
It really is. But I go out there and enjoy. Always my reminder to all the boaters out there, do the right thing. Put those life jackets on the kids. Watch how much you're drinking and slow it down a little bit. All those things will make it for a nicer weekend here across Southeast Michigan. And again, you listen to the Hardcore Mortgage Show. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. And by the way, we are #1 in home purchases in the country. That's right. If you're purchasing a house, you want to give us a call, Capital Mortgage Funding. We're going to save you a ton of money. Let's move off to some calls. We've got Monica calling from Birmingham. Hey, Monica, what's happening out there?
Hi, I was calling because we were lucky enough to be first-time home buyers in January of 2010.
Oh, congrats.
And, yeah, got into our house at an amazing deal. The problem is we've outgrown it now. And like you guys were saying, it's a house with great bones. We love the location. It's a great house. It's just going to be too small for us very soon.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't decide whether or not we want to pull some money out and put an addition on and do some major renovations, or just give up and move.
Maybe take the money and purchase one of the bigger homes that would fit your family's needs.
So, Monica, have you done the plans on this and specs, and how much is it going to cost you to do the addition?
No, we're just at the very basic steps right now. We're just thinking about it.
Yeah, if you like the area, which it sounds like you do, you're in Birmingham, you probably like the schools and everything about where you live, you have to do that analysis. You have to say to yourself, hey, look we love it here. If we add on, what's it going to cost? When I first got married, I lived in Birmingham, didn't have a family. We loved it there. I'm looking back now 30-some years saying I should have kept the house in Birmingham, right? But everybody does that. But what you have to do is you have to go through that and say to yourself, just to satisfy your own curiosity and say, hey, look, how much is it going to cost me? Am I going to add the square footage? Is it really going to meet what my growing family and what my needs are for my quality of life? And so you have to do that homework, and then you have to make that decision. And simultaneously, you've got to get with Franklin and say, hey, listen, how much could I get? What's the current value of my house if I want to sell it? And where am I going to move to get the quality of life that I want? So you've got some analysis to do. You've got to put pen to paper and say, hey, what are we going to do? But you sound like you're in a pretty good position because you know your house is worth more right the second 9 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
In Birmingham.
Sure. No, we really lucked out. And is a realtor, can they tell me something in terms of okay, if we put, X amount of square footage on, if we go too much for the area that we're in and say, listen, this is too big of an addition, you're never going to get your money out?
Probably.
When we do sell it down the road?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
Hey, well, the thing about Birmingham, Monica, is some of your neighbors have already done it, right?
Yep,
so you can almost knock on some of the doors there, especially if there's some construction or some of those projects going on. And I would tell you, I would engage in those conversations. There's enough of those throughout the week. You can walk through Birmingham area, and the crews are out there. You can talk to the homeowners and say, hey, I love what you're doing over here. Maybe even find out, they've already done some research to find out what builders to use.
I'll never forget a long time ago, my brother-in-law, he bought a house in Birmingham, and we were living there, and he says to me, he goes, I can't believe I'm buying a house in Birmingham. I'm never going to get my money out. And I said, my man, don't
quadruple.
I said, you're going to get your money out. And 4 or 5 years later, he got way more than he bargained for. But it just, again, it all depends. It's like baseball. It's all situational. It depends on your situation, your house. What are you going to put in? Can you over-improve for an area? Of course you can over-improve for any area, but that's why. How many square feet? What are the amenities? What area? What area are you living in? How big's your lot? What's going on there?
Basically, too, is what are your neighbors selling for? Doing that comparative market analysis is huge. Just getting, seeing what's out there at the top, at the mid-range.
But that's exciting. That sounds like a lot of moving parts, but it's exciting. But you have to go through those mechanics and see what what you're looking at. You have to do it. I think it's fun.
It's basically just deciding, do you want to stay in that area or do you want to go? Because if you're doing the renovations for yourself, that's what you have to do. You have to do them for yourself. If you know that if you decide you're going to stay, then you stay and you make the house exactly what you want, and it is what it is. And if you think that you might sell maybe 5-6 years down the road after these renovations, then maybe you need to pull back a little bit and maybe only do the improvements that you feel you could maybe make money on. So it's just something that, we'll give you a call after the show. Aaron and Franklin will give you a call after the show, and we can kind of start having those conversations to kind of maybe help guide you or give you
set you up for success on that.
Game plan and kind of paint the picture for you a little, make it a little quicker.
Lots of fun. Good
Thanks,
job, Monica. Way to buy a house in 2010. How come she's so smart? It was a scary time here. Talk about an interesting time to buy a house in Southeast Michigan. Of course, some of you folks out there don't even know you just got into the industry. But sure enough, when the housing market did crash about 2007 to 2009, you want to pick it, things were scary. And here's families still. I mean, they were buying at the all-time lows, pretty much 2010 and 2013. Great opportunities to buy a house.
Hey, was it the NAC that said, should I stay or should I go?
No, it wasn't. That was a Clash.
Oh, the Clash.
We'll come up with an NAC.
Old guy in the house. Trying to sound young. Here I go.
No worries,
Size 12 and a half in the mouth. But you knew right
Not
away.
the hoop. Well, we know right away. Yeah, Harry, because that's my generation. I'm a little bit younger than you.
I'm still on Zeppelin in the hoop. Okay, what can I tell you?
Hey, some folks think that the Fed rate cut the other day on July 31st was the key to lowering interest rates. Well, it might have been. We don't think so in the industry. But the big drop definitely was the day after when the president announced that there'd be some new tariffs against China and the goods. And then, of course, then the stock market tanks. And then people put their money in the mortgage-backed securities in the bond market. And sure enough, we've got some great, unbelievable interest rates. So let me touch on refinancing. It's a mystery to some folks. If you've never done it before, it is a little scary. What you actually have to do is sit down with your mortgage professional, give us a call. And as we mentioned before, this is all free. Sit down, compare numbers. If you don't have 20% equity and you want to refinance, well, PMI becomes a major player in what the house appraises for. You have to understand the closing costs and your escrow account. It's a little bit of a trick. It's definitely something that you have to sit down and understand. I asked a couple clients recently. I said, why haven't you called me back on that? They don't have the knowledge yet. They don't have that confidence to do it.
Yeah.
They've never done it before. But also, as you know, when we roll in, and there's an opportunity to do this, you can roll in closing costs in your new escrow account. You'll skip a house payment. I don't want to tell the whole process, but there's a way to free up a little bit of money. And again, maybe really save yourself between usually minimum $50 to $250 a month.
But you get back whatever's in your current escrow account, right?
Yep.
You could take that money if you want and put it right back down on the principal. So people say, but Harvey, you're rolling all this in, you're taking my loan amount up. You don't need to take your loan amount up. Take the money and put it back down. Or you could take that money and pay off some debt, do whatever you want to do. There are options, but you have to be educated. Becky, right?
Yes, you have to be educated, and that's what we're gonna talk to you about that, because people think it's going to be as much of a strenuous process as the purchase, and it's not. It's a completely different. It's just you and me, you and Harvey, you and one of our other loan officers at Capital Mortgage Funding, hand in hand, skipping down the street, making it as simple as possible, and letting you understand what's in your escrow. Do you want to roll it back? It's not to be confusing, and it's actually not confusing at all. Once we sit down and what you're done, you're going to fully understand what you're getting, what your options are going to be. And as far as the rates go, Harry talked about it earlier. Don't get caught up in an eighth. Okay, so 2016, the rates were the lowest they've ever been in the history of evers. Okay,
Of evers,
right? So right now we're getting pretty close to that, and you're having these conversations. Well, I'm going to wait till they go down. I'm going to wait. Don't, because there are same people that in 2016 thought the rates were going to go down to 0 or 2%. Guess what? They didn't, and they ended up finally pulling the trigger when they missed that little window, and the rate was actually higher than what they even were telling me. I'm going to wait. So if it makes sense for you right now, don't be afraid to pull the trigger as long as it makes sense.
Gentlemen, a couple of minutes left here of the show. Just real quick, you sold the house. It's going to close in a week, or it's going to close 30 days later. But when do you sit down with that seller, go over all that net sheet? How soon do you do it at the beginning and then again right before it closes? And give me that. It happened to me this week. I want to hear from you guys. The net
Seller net sheet.
Seller net sheet.
Yeah.
Honestly, we go over it as many times as they need to.
Okay.
But particularly, we try to give them a very good idea at the beginning what kind of proceeds they're going to get, because it tells them what kind of house they can buy afterward if they're planning on moving. Or I know for a fact if I ever get a windfall, my tax returns for 2019 are already spent. You know, I know what I'm buying.
Right, yeah.
So we're trying to tell people, like, don't spend that $300,000 on a boat yet.
Right. Yeah.
But you've already spent yours.
Oh yeah. It's already spent my hat. I know it. I know how I behave. But no,
awareness.
Yeah, and then once everything comes back from title, once we get the appraisal, once we actually know what's really going on with the house, we go back over it one more time before closing as soon as we can.
So that is refreshing because there's individuals and other agents that do not handhold the sellers. They kind of fall to the wayside a little bit, and we're working the buyers so quickly and so frequently that sometimes the sellers don't see their net sheet until the very last minute. So that's why it's important what Franklin is discussing. It's important to work with the right people. If we're suggesting real estate agents and if they're suggesting certain mortgage companies, it's not because we're all making money against each other. It's because there's a proven track record of that customer service that works well.
Talk to and trust your professionals. That's it. Plain and simple.
27 years, that's all I have to say. 27 years at Capital, 30 in the industry. Okay? Hey, go with Trunkier Car Lender if you want.
Hey, I talked to you guys, Boo, in the show first when we first got here this morning. Coming up this fall and winter, the homes that are leftovers. Of course, I'll eat leftover pizza, and most food I'll eat leftover, right? The leftover meatloaf. But we have Fairways Homestyle Renovation Loan in the FHA 203K loans. Yep. You guys know it. Definitely, if the house is a stinker, we're going to come up with some other words that we can use on it.
Less desirable.
Less desirable. Distressed. Yeah, you keep throwing them out there. But hey, maybe it's the right location. Maybe it's the right school district. Those are two big things to hit on. We can get you into that house and make it right for you. Any final thoughts for you gentlemen?
No, thank you guys.
We'll
I was
take
going to
that
say,
one.
just a quick one. Ask. If you have any questions, ask. Make them answer your questions.
There you go. I love that stuff.
Yay.
X1 Realty, Aaron Boudreau, Franklin Howard. You guys are fantastic. We'll have you back on the show for sure. Good stuff.
It'll be a pleasure.
We had fun.
All righty. Hey, call Capital Mortgage the rest of the day. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. For Becky Alley, for Harry Glantz, I'm Harvey Freed. We'll see you next Saturday.